Woohoo! You made it to the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. If you haven't been here yet, I'm your host, Dr. Amanda, the Money Healer. Every week on this podcast, you'll learn money mindset, manifestation, and business scaling strategies that will help you make the big bucks doing exactly what you love to do in your business. Oh yeah, high fives. Why do I do this? Because after I went from food stamps to six figures in my business in its first year, it's been my quest to help you learn how to work less, make more, and have fun scaling your business from what I call your zone of manifestation. Now let's get to it. Hello, gorgeous NFA money makers. It's time for episode number 58 of the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. And today we are doing our series of Q&A, and I got 3 different questions from fans. So we're going to cover these 3. First one is, how long does change take? The second one is, what's the fastest way to scale your business? And the third one is, I'm so tired of doubting myself. What can I do? So we're going to break these down, and wow, I feel like I could probably teach an entire workshop on each of these. And so, I'm going to give you a couple minutes of tips, and then I want to remind you that if it's your first time here, I'm Dr. Amanda, the Money Healer, and I love to give you strategies to help you up-level your money vibe, reprogram your money mindset, and manifest easier money in your business using proven strategies to scale from your zone of manifestation. And so everything that I talk about here is always going to have an energetic component. We're going to always be thinking about, how do I optimize myself to change my outer world? And so this first question, when we ask, how long does change take? This is a really important question, because obviously, when we're not getting where we want to go, we know that a change is required. And this really goes back to habit formation. And when we're thinking about habit formation, we first must think about how we've made unconscious vows and unconscious commitments to what we're getting based on our childhood subconscious programming. And so this is never to beat up your parents or the adults in your life who raised you. It's more about bringing to your conscious awareness the things that you were programmed with, so that you can decide, hey, do I want to keep this moving forward, or do I choose to transform it and change this belief system so I can get different results? And remember, think about your brain as a sled hill. You have 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those are repetitive, and 95% of those are negative, or actually the other way around. 95% are repetitive and 80% are negative. And so what happens is that you have this repetitive behavior going on. First, it's a thought that gets planted in your mind when you were really young, and you started to believe it to be true because you didn't have a filtration system to go, oh, I should believe something else. And so what happened is you started to create a sled hill of beliefs in your brain. And think of this as like a sled track where you go down and down and down again, and that gets faster and faster. And those grooves in your brain are just like that. They start to get deeper and deeper, which means that they're more wired into your brain than newer beliefs and conscious beliefs. And we're really susceptible to programming when you're young. And so the sled hill gets created. And so dependent on how embedded that sled hill is and how attached you are to the feelings around it, that's going to be affecting the amount of time it takes you to change. Okay. And so anytime you're stuck and you're not feeling like you're experiencing a change, it's because you have these unconscious vows and these unconscious commitments that are competing with what you say you want. So let's say we're talking about business here, or making money, and we go, I really desire to make more money, but I can't seem to change this habit of procrastinating. And here you want to ask yourself, what must I believe to be true to continue recreating the experience of procrastinating? Because if you are procrastinating, it means that you're out of alignment with your highest values, which means that somewhere in your system, you're addicted to feeling bad, and you're not wanting to do something that makes you feel good to make easier money, which is going to be more magnetic. And so you've got to start to really decide that you are willing to look deep within and break through some some of your beliefs to start feeling different. And remember, your state of being is what causes you to get your outer world results. And your state of being is going to be your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings. That creates your energetic frequency. And that's what causes you to send out a signal to the universe, and then the matched frequency comes back to you. So if you're stuck doing something you don't enjoy doing, somewhere in your system, you actually subconsciously believe that that's the best way for you to do it. And so you've got to start playing with up-leveling your vibe and seeing the world from a different perspective so that you can change. So the first part of change is always recognition. You've got to recognize. And in my NFA money formula, what it really is a habit transformation or a change tool. So if you haven't heard this before, my NFA money formula is 3 steps. It's recognize, reframe, repeat to reprogram. Recognize, reframe, repeat to reprogram. And what that means is first, you've got to identify, hey, what is it here that I choose to change? And then when you identify the feelings and the thoughts and the behaviors, you start to play with reframes. Reframes can look like affirmantras, like I share in my book, I'm a Money Magnet. If you haven't read it yet, you're definitely going to want to get it. It talks a lot about this question, how long does it take to change? It teaches you the NFA money formula so that you can have permanent lasting change. And so you could use affirmantras as reframes. You could meditate. You could use EFT tapping. You could visualize. You could journal. You could take a different action every day and up-level your vibe just a little bit at a time. And what happens on this third step is when you repeat, you reprogram your subconscious mind. And you repeat, doing these reframes, and then you start to change. And the way that you will know that you've changed permanently is when you start to get different results on the outside. So remember, I always say that your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. And if you don't like what you're getting on the outside, you've got to change what's within. That means you got to reprogram your subconscious. And when you do it, you will notice outer world differences, like making easier money, like working less to make more. If that original thing that we were talking about where you wanted to change into being able to build a successful business and make easier money and stop procrastinating, right? So that is a crash course in a couple of minutes about how to change. So, that question, how long does it take? It's really dependent on your willingness to look within and start to recondition your state of being so that you can reprogram your subconscious mind and then and adopt a new identity because you've changed from within. What that means is that you are being different. When you have an identity transformation, you're being different. And that means that you will start to get different outer world results because your subconscious mind starts to believe what you're programming in this new way to be true. And you start to take steps in that direction, and now you manifest a different reality. All right. Number 2, what's the fastest way to scale? This is a loaded question. Of course, I've taught courses on this for a year and, all kinds of awesome advice here. First, I would say, and I'm going to give you the simplest question that I can give that I shared with this person when they asked. It was, know your avatar. Okay, and I know this might sound overly simplistic, but in reality, when you want to scale your business fast, the easiest way is by reading the minds of the people that you're working with. You've got to understand, what are their pain points? What are they longing for? What keeps them up at night? And how do I create products, programs, and services to bring solutions to that person? When you know that, you know exactly where to find people. You know exactly how to talk to them about what you offer. You know exactly how to create products, programs, and services for them. And then it gets really easy to scale your business fast. I see time and time again entrepreneurs putting way too much time, energy, money into things that don't move the needle forward. And this is really one of those procrastination, avoidance, fear, imposter syndrome strategies where you think you've got to know everything and you've got to have everything perfect in order to make money. When in truth, this is interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. The most money I've ever made in my business was when I had the least tech going on. I had no website. I had no business cards. I had Oh, yeah. In the beginning of my business, I didn't have a VA or an assistant. I didn't have a team. I barely had anything except for my brain, my heart, my soul, my inspiration, and my drive to help people. And I went and had conversations with them. And then on the fly, I would come up with a package and sell it to them. And even some of my first clients paid me through like a PayPal link. I didn't have a website set up. I didn't have any, so I had checks being written to me even. And so I want you to remember you're overthinking things and you're probably creating too much. I love to help people simplify what they're doing so they can have higher ROI and, live by that NFA mantra of work less, make more, and have fun. If that sounds interesting to you, you definitely need to schedule a consult with me. If you're going, oh my God, this sounds like exactly what I need, just go to workwithdramanda.com, workwithdramanda.com, and you can hang out with me and we can chat about whether I have options for you in this way of me knowing my avatar. And I know my avatar so well, and that's why I can scale. And that's what you must do. So do avatar work. Learn everything you can about your people. It is the fastest way to scale by far. Okay, let's get to the third question. I'm so tired of doubting myself. What can I do? First, I want to say here, I wish I was sitting with you wherever you are right now, and I could give you a huge squeeze and tell you how freaking amazing you are. Because the fact that you're listening to this episode right now means that you care about building a business, you care about learning, you care about improving yourself, which means that you are making a difference in the world. And you are valuable just by being alive. You don't need to prove yourself. You are valuable just by being alive. And so my answer to this one is really that you've got to start to play with loving your inner child. And something I do here is that I actually visualize myself holding my younger self. And sometimes I'll do this like imagining that I'm a little baby, where I can swaddle myself and hold myself and rock myself. And I'll like imagine kissing my forehead and telling myself, I'm awesome, I'm amazing, I'm brilliant, I'm beautiful. And it causes tears to come to my eyes when I do this. And I love helping you love your inner child, because realistically, we are all just little kids with huge hearts running around in big bodies and wanting to love ourselves more and love the world more through doing what we love in the world and having the freedom to play and be creative. And that's inner child work. So if you're doubting yourself, you aren't owning your brilliance. What you're doing is probably negatively comparing yourself to other people, and you are listening to your inner critic voice that's beating you up. Maybe this got conditioned into you when you were young and you had, people in your life who might not have cheered you on, or you didn't have the perception that they did, and it caused you to doubt yourself and think that you need to play small, or that you don't have what it takes to build a successful business, or have, $1 million business, or even a $100,000 a year business, or even a $50,000 a year business. Whatever the number is for you that you are daydreaming about in your mind, it is possible. Yet it's not possible until you drop those inner critic doubts and fears and feelings of unworthiness and start to love your inner child more. You're not going to be able to break through, because you're always going to have this inner, I want to say it's these unconscious vows that tell yourself you're not good enough and you're not worthy and you're not valuable. And so you're going to doubt yourself. And this isn't to say that there are days in my life where I don't doubt myself. Actually, yesterday was one of those days. Last night, I woke up in the middle of the night. I must have been having a bad dream, and I woke up at 11:30. I went to bed at around 10. I woke up at 11:30, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I laid in bed, and I got up at 2:30, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to work. And realistically, what woke me up was doubt. I was doubting myself, and I was realizing I'm feeling scared, and I'm doubting myself in this new era of my business. And it's wild to go back to this experience, because I work on myself a lot. I play with the strategies I teach you, and I recognized like, oh, okay, I'm at a new evolution of my growth. And I felt like I did when I was a little kid, and I was really scared. And so I have this happen too. So I'm not saying that you're not going to have doubting days and you're not going to have doubting moments. I'm saying when you notice yourself doubting your capabilities and thinking you're not enough, love yourself, spend some time feeling what you feel, allow yourself to feel scared, allow yourself to acknowledge it, and then you can just visualize holding your inner child and having an amazing conversation with yourself, like you're worthy, you're valuable, you're amazing, you're doing a great job. Remember, you can either be your worst inner critic jerk to yourself, or you can play in the field of joy and choose to love yourself and be your greatest inner cheerleader. It's up to you. The thing is that if you're in the habit of beating yourself up, like this goes back to our Q&A number 1, which is how long does change take? If you're in the habit of beating yourself up, you've got to decide to change that habit. You've got to be different every day. So when you notice yourself having this inner critic beat up, stop, reframe, first recognize, reframe it, and then repeat, and you'll start to up-level your self-worth. And this doesn't happen overnight. When I started building my business, I had a lot of worthiness issues and a lot of codependency problems and just a lot of negative self-comparison and definitely imposter syndrome and doubting myself all the time. And so what I did was just exactly what I'm teaching you here. I started to notice it, and I started to use, at the time it was affirmations. I started to read and learn and implement, and I let myself cry. And then I started hanging out with abundant people, and I started to see that it was possible to build a successful business. And I started to change because I changed the way I felt and thought inside. And then it started to have me taking steps to hang out with people who were very abundant minded and having more abundance in their lives and more prosperity. And then it started to plant the seed in my mind, like, oh my God, this is possible. I can have an incredible, thriving life and business and relationship and make money. And you just got to keep playing the game of self-love. It's not, for most people, it doesn't happen automatically. A lot of us were conditioned not to love ourselves and to beat ourselves up and to live in a state of imposter syndrome, fears, and uncertainties. And so you've got to choose to love your inner child, to feel your feelings, to see the awesomeness in yourself instead of picking on yourself all the time. And then you will start to transform, and just keep practicing it every day, and you will start to improve. One of the greatest tips here is read as many self-confidence books as you can. Go to classes, go listen to podcasts, listen to my podcast, go back, and binge listen to every episode here, because I talk a lot, especially in those beginning years in Max Potential Habits. I talk a lot about imposter syndrome and fear and doubt and uncertainty. And it's interwoven into everything I do, because that is what causes resistance. When you don't love yourself and you have fear and stress and worry, you have a scarcity mindset that's causing you to doubt yourself, not love yourself, not see your worth, and that creates resistance. And remember, resistance is always the number one thing that keeps you from manifesting what you want, because you are sending a signal to the universe of worry. It's like praying for trouble to come your way. It's praying for the things that you're worrying about to become true. And the universe doesn't discriminate. It doesn't go like, oh, that's not good for you. It just says, oh, here's the frequency I'm reading from you. I'm going to match that back, because that's what you're putting out. And through the law of attraction, likes attract likes. And so it's your job to start up-leveling your self-love vibe and just play with some inner child work. Listen to podcasts about confidence. Start to read everything you can about imposter syndrome. Hang out with me in the NFA Money Mama Mastermind. Do some one-on-one work with me. Whatever it takes, do it, so that you can start to transform from the inside out, change yourself, and then scale your business fast through knowing your avatar. Thanks for being here. I love getting to hang out with you. And remember, if you want to have questions answered, all you need to do is go to speakpipe.com/The Woman Entrepreneur Podcast, or /, I guess it's a /. So speakpipe.com, The Woman Entrepreneur Podcast, and you can leave me a voice message with a question that I will answer here just for you. And until next time, I'm sending you big, giant hugs and NFA money-making high fives. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to break through to the next income level in your business, go to www thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com to get more money mindset, manifestation, and business scaling resources. Again, that's www.thewomanentrepreneurpodcast.com. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.